my goodness, my hair again, once again. It's all good. I'm gonna wait for one more person to join the live before I start. Or should I? Not even sure. Okay, I literally was gonna stop the live and like restart it. Oh, and my battery's low. Anyways, I'm gonna just do a quick live tonight. I just want to record this because I have made a commitment to myself that I will go live very often. So if for people that are not familiar with my lives, I'm basically talking about personal things that I've gone through and an issue that's very near and dear to me, which is gang stalking. And which is crazy because the majority of the followers that I have right now, I believe to be gang stalkers anyways. And it is what it is. Like, these things are gonna either come out or take care of themselves at whatever point, but I've made a commitment to come on live, so I'm gonna talk about the things I want to talk about. I'm not gonna stay on too long tonight because I have some stuff that I want to do personally. But I wanted to talk about my tip of the day. My tip of the day is with your laptop. So the first tip that I gave was regarding a SIM card, putting a lock on your SIM card so that people are not intruding into your calls, and not tapping into your phone calls. And then I talked about like turning off the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi on your phone when you leave your home, just to cut down on being followed, or turning off your cell phone if you need to have it on you, or just leaving the cell phone home altogether if you really don't need it. So there is that. But in addition to that, I also wanted to talk about your laptop / computers. That's where people listen to you. I have a laptop, so I talk about laptops more. If you have a desktop computer, I would suggest just pulling the plug out, just turning it off. There are speakers on these devices, and once your device is hacked, people are just going to hack into it. They're going to listen to you, whatever you're talking about in your home, through the microphone on your computer / laptop. And people are going to use the camera, whether it's like a webcam or the built-in camera on your laptop. That's how they see you. So if you're, let's say, most people are going to have a device in their room. If you're in your bedroom or whatnot, people are going to look at you naked and record it, or take screen recordings of it on your device. So on my laptop, I have a piece of duct tape over the top. Let me just turn my comments off 1 second because I don't really want people coming in and out here. Yeah, I have a piece of duct tape over the top of my laptop for my camera. This is something the person who had me hacked told me straight up. Like, his name's John Furr. He told me straight up. He was like, in the very beginning, he was like, put a piece of duct tape or whatever over your laptop. So this is something that I've done and that I've maintained. Those two things kind of really help. Also, what I do is whenever I'm making a phone call, I close my laptop just to have some semblance of privacy, to make some plans, because the whole point of being hacked is so that people can anticipate what your moves are, and what you're going to do, and how to basically block it how to get in your way before you've even started on the things that you need to start on. So that is my tip of the day. Is basically just being aware with whatever electronic devices that you have. Obviously, if you have one of those like Google devices, or I don't know so much about Bluetooth speakers, if that so much applies, but I do know for the laptop. Only gonna speak on what I know. So I know, excuse me, or excuse me, I'm always burping on these lives. I never burp, so excuse me. Um, but yeah, those are the things that I personally know about. Um, and those are the things that have made a difference for me as far as protecting my privacy, and not having information leak out. So that's one. So yeah, when I post the link to this video, on my YouTube, I will also put this in the caption. I'll probably put it in the title as well so people can kind of find it. But yeah, I usually do, excuse me, videos which have tips of the day on things that just make my life easier. So, when I do these videos, I kind of just record it as a live on Instagram, just to kind of raise my engagement one way or the other, as opposed to recording it directly for YouTube. So it kind of just has like, both audiences, like I'm building an audience on YouTube, but also my audience on Instagram can see it as well. Because I know that a bunch of the people that are already following me are people who are involved in this in some sort of capacity, or people that they've sent to follow, or whatever the case is. So for that reason, one second. For that reason, I put it on Instagram. Although it's not meant to be, I feel like the Instagram thing is kind of a short-term thing until I make it a more, until I establish my YouTube audience or a YouTube following a little bit better. Anyways, that's the first thing that I wanted to say. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was, and there isn't really an audience in this. I can never tell with lives how much people there really are in here, because I've literally been in lives where there's like 100 people in the live, and then all of a sudden there's like, it's showing like no one out of a second, after a second, and I know 100 people didn't fall off alive. So I don't know what it is with Instagram. I do have my comments off, so I can't see people coming in and out. However, I'm just gonna keep going with whatever I'm talking about on live, because I will be posting the video later on. But that being the case, I kind of wanted to talk about, I guess, building a spiritual relationship, because that has been something, and I always credit that to me surviving my situation. So that has been something, that I feel very impassioned about talking about. I feel very, very impassioned about talking about my personal brand of spirituality. And spirituality is something, and I'm not talking about religion, but spirituality is something that everybody gets to have their own, their own definition, their own idea. I don't think everybody, and I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think everybody has to like serve the same way. Everybody has to believe in the same things. Like, my spiritual beliefs are completely independent for me. Like, this is what I believe to be true based on personal experiences in my life, and it's not subscribing to anything. And to my shock, actually, the things that I've believed in and held to be true and like not really shared with people, I found an online community and they all believe the same things, and it was weird. Even all the same like words, the same terms that we use, the same, it's like having like a hive mind. It's kind of like, because there isn't any formal sort of religion. There isn't any formal sort of doctrine. There isn't any book anywhere. There isn't any manual. There's no Bible. There's like no one teaches this. You just fall into it. And then when you fall into it, you find a community, and everybody in the community thinks the exact same way, says the exact same things, believes in the exact same things. And I think something that I felt like was extremely unique to me, and so much so that I had to keep it to myself for a long time because I didn't know how people would interpret it, was just interpreting God as a woman. That was something that I didn't feel like, I don't know, like I know that, like I've heard it before, like I've seen it randomly, maybe once in my life before on like a meme or whatever, or a t-shirt or something, but it was never something that, and even at that time, it wasn't something that I was really paying attention to, or super deep with yet. But when I did get deeper with it, it was just like all of a sudden, it's like there's a whole community of people out there that believe the exact same things, that use the same terminology, that have the same ideas. So it's been a very different experience, I should say. And it's been very, I don't know, surreal and amazing to find community that believe in the same thing that you do. And like I said, I really, and it's not that I believe, I know that this is the reason why, my life is what it is. It's the source of my happiness and my satisfaction in my life. Um, outside of outside forces and outside factors. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that. And like I said, I think, I believe, that God is a woman, and I think that everybody should tap into that. But I don't have the stance where I feel like, everybody has a choice, everybody has free will, everybody could decide what they want to buy into and what they don't. Um, Everybody can decide, they can hear something and they could say, I don't believe in that. I don't want to bow down to that. I don't want to take that seriously, because everybody's life is their own to live, and people face their own consequences for, how they go about living their life. So it is what it is. But I did want to talk about, at least, no matter what you believe in, no matter what God you believe in, I still wanted to talk about the way people approach spirituality. So, I always find that a lot of people find spirituality when things are difficult in their life. When they're having problems, all of a sudden they start praying. May or may not know who they're praying to. And immediately as they start praying, they're asking for something. They're asking for relief from a situation, or to get some type of wishes granted. It's always a request. And I personally think that's the opposite way to go about with religion. I think, or spirituality, sorry, not religion. I feel like religion is a formal system that really does box spirituality in way too much. But spirituality, I think that's the wrong way to go about it. Because if you kind of think about it, if you have a human relationship with someone and you've just met them 5 seconds ago, and they're already asking you for things, how would you feel? I feel like it's the exact same thing with the spirit world, that people do not take time to get to know who it is that they're asking things of, what that spirit desires, things being a fair trade, especially outside of, a lot of people will have spiritual prayers and they'll put a sacrifice on an altar, let's say. and it'll be something like food or money or like whatever they're going to put on the altar, depending on what the description or whatever they read or whatever they were told or whatever the customs or the norms are. That being what it is what it is, right? Like, I'm not going to tell anybody to do or not to do, but I just feel like there needs to be more respect for the spirit world. And I just feel like people need to have more personal relationships with, I guess, whoever or whatever they call God. Like, for me, very rarely do I ask of anything. And it's crazy because I really have a very close relationship with God. And so I can ask for a lot. But very rarely do I actually ask. And the relationship is very different. So even though I don't ask, when I do ask, it's like the response that I'll get is ask for more. And I'll ask again, and the response that I'll get is more. You should ask for more. You're thinking too small. That's the response that I get. I've never heard anybody else in their spiritual journey ever be guided for what to ask. Or, God won't let me do certain things. Like, if there's something that I want to do, even if I'm justified in doing it, God will not allow me to do it. Like, she'll just stop me. And there's many times I look at people. Now, everybody has things that can happen in their life that are supposed to happen that are not the greatest. Like, I got gang stalked for a year. And obviously that's not a fun experience. And one would say, well, if you have God in your life, then why did that happen? And it was an experience that I had to have, and I had to go through those things. However, I also feel as if there are things that people go through, and there are obvious mistakes that they're making over and over and over, and no one is stopping it. Like, no one is saying, or maybe they're ignoring their intuition. Maybe they're ignoring spiritual guidance. Maybe they're ignoring a direction in which they're supposed to go. But it's like, I just know for me, if I'm not supposed to be doing something, like, God will literally hold my hands and be like, no, we're not doing it. And it's not a matter of, like, it's not something that I can ignore. It's just like spiritual guidance that won't even allow you to self-sabotage. Like, you won't even be allowed to destroy your own path. And that's even in just even what I desire, like what I'm thinking that I want or thinking that I don't want. It's like I'll be met with resistance in my spirit itself. Just based on, like, there are things that, let's say, are good for me that I don't want to do, and spirit will kind of just hold me back and be like, no, this is what we're doing. And I'll be like, "Ugh, I don't know if I'm," and it's just like, it's either that or all other options will be blocked. So this is the reason, I guess, I kind of see the difference in that relationship, or the relationship that I have with God, based on how other people live their life. And I just super do not understand how it's possible for people to make mistakes, because I feel like it's not possible for me to make mistakes. Like, I literally couldn't choose things that are not in my best interest, even if I tried. And boy, do I often want things that are not in my best interest. I mean, like everybody else, having a human experience. But I think that's just one of those things where I often think to myself, I think it's the way we approach spirituality that causes the issue. Because you start any relationship from a transactional point of view, and you're going to end up in a situation where it is just transactional. It's not deep. It's not a bond. And a lot of people are just shallow people emotionally. And they really just see the only purpose of the spirit world not as an enhancement of their life, not as making their life richer, not as an enhancement of their human condition or experience, but they just see it as a way of gaining something. And when you look at life like that, like there's this quote that says belly full but they're starving, and it's like I feel like a lot of people are like that, where it's this insatiable desire all the time for more and more and more. So it's like when I really think about it, and I was thinking about this today, how the more I've achieved in life is the less that I actually desire. Like the less things that I actually care about. So there was a certain point where I remember there was a certain point in my life actually. And I took my kids to Toys R Us, and each kid had a shopping cart, and I was like, fill it up to the top, and whatever you put in the cart, we're going to buy. And, it was a nice experience. And I think after that year, the kids just never cared about like holidays again. Like I try to, for the sake of tradition, I'll go like on a holiday and I'll go buy like a wallet, a belt, or something, like something nice. I want to say is something nice, but they've been given so much throughout their life that they don't care. I never see the item ever again. I don't see the wallet. Like they don't value those things. And it's like, instead it's like we want to spend time together. We want to have time off of work. We want to have achievements, experiences, whatnot. And that seems to kind of be what it really comes down to, is just, for me, even now I think about it, it's Christmas and I can't think of a single like tangible material thing that I want. And I'm even at a point in life now where I don't even look at the bigger things that I used to want anymore in the same way, because it just doesn't give me the same pull. So like saying I would want to go out and buy a Bentley or get a bigger house or do this or do, like, I just don't feel that anymore. I like experiences. I like quality relationships, like things like that. So it's like I just feel like I'm so full. And when I start feeling inadequate is when I haven't, and I know it seems extreme to other people. It's not extreme to me. When I haven't prayed for a couple of hours, I haven't spoken to God for a couple of hours, I feel empty. By the time I go back, it's like, oh my God, I haven't connected in so long, but it's like, wait, it literally was, just a couple hours ago. But when you actually experience God's love, and I'm not talking about in examples of I needed something and then God came through, or I was in a pickle, I was in a jam, and God came through for me and I ended up getting what I needed. I'm not talking about that. I'm literally talking about experiencing God's love in the same way how you would experience a man loving you. Like the feeling. Like, and that's the thing. I don't see, this is a whole nother discussion, because when I talk about, everybody talks about being feminine, being a feminine woman, and what that means. I think a lot of people just think it's like the way you talk, the way you dress, and whatever. That's not what being a feminine woman is about. Feminine women end up talking the way that we talk and behaving the way, because we're loved. Because when somebody really loves you, when a man really loves you, and I think a lot of women have just never been really loved. This is irregardless of race, irregardless of social class, all of that. A lot of women, most women, have never experienced love. It takes actually experiencing love for you to know for a fact that most people have never had it. Like, I can tell you, when I experienced love in all of my life, I've been in relationships and I've been what you call in love before. But the first time I was really loved, I was like, I've never experienced anything like this in my life before. So I can really say I've been loved once before. Now, that is the time that changes you. It changes you as a person. Only after you experience real, genuine love, are you ready for God? So everything that we're doing here is a waste of time. I don't care what age you are. If you've never experienced real love and connected with a human being who's physical in front of you, if you've never had that, you actually, I don't care how much you pray, you actually don't have, you've never experienced God's love. Because there's something about, now for me, it's chakras, which a lot of people don't know about. All the lower chakras, you open them and you strengthen them by things you could do physically, things you could do independently on your own. So your root chakra is about, I thought I was going to do this video later, I might as well do it now. Your root chakra is about stability. You get up, you work hard, you stabilize yourself, you get a nice home, you could take regular vacations, you have more money in the bank, you have money to throw away, your root chakra gets strengthened. Your sacral chakra is like your creativity. It's like how you, I want to say it's how you manifest, but not really. Like, it's too low. I would more say it's just like how you actualize dreams. But God is not involved yet, so I'm not going to call it manifesting. It's how you actualize dreams. It's like how you take an idea and you build an idea up. So which one? And these are just the main chakras. There's a lot of them. So what? Root, sacral. There's another one. It's the solar plexus. What is that one? Solar plexus. I think that's to do with like sexuality. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's where most people stop. Most people stop right there, because one of the hardest ones to open and the most important one to open is your heart. Very difficult chakra to open. You have to find the right person at the right time. If that's not hard enough, it's already hard enough to find the right person. You have to find the right person at the right time. Because if it's not the right time, they're not open, or you're not open, or somebody's not ready. So you have to find the right person at the right time. When you find this person, probably one or both of you is going to be emotionally damaged or hurt or whatever the case is. You have to actually heal those things, and they already have to be ready to open their heart chakra as well. Like, so they have to have the bottom three already healed up as well, and they have to be ready. So if you meet somebody, and let's say this person is meant to be the person that you're meant to be with anyway, but you meet them and their money is not right, then there's a blockage right there. So you could be ready and they could be great and you guys could be a great match, but it's not that. It's really divine timing. It's like God has to be involved in all of this for this to occur. This is what makes this journey so difficult. It's like the presence of God has to be in all of that. Like that is like a once in a million type situation when it does happen. When you meet this person and you do fall in love with them, you have to fall in love completely, to the point where you trust them completely, they trust you completely, where you open up everything, where you no longer are making decisions from a me perspective. You're no longer making decisions based on, and to give the best example, like for me, my whole life changed and was gonna be uprooted and like pulled down. Everything that I've worked for, everything that I've worked towards, and not just that would have been bad enough. My mental stability, my children, my everything. And I was put in a position where God was like, do you choose love or do you choose all this other stuff? And if this is something that's for you, well, of course it should be for you, but you're supposed to choose love. How often does that happen? Because it always gets tested, and it really gets tested in the craziest way that you could think of. So, once that chakra opens up and you get to experience real love with another human being, then you are now ready to experience love with God. So I feel like once the heart chakra opens up, everything else opens up way faster. Your throat opens up way faster because you have to speak the truth. You have to be able to communicate, to be in love, to keep the love consistent, to keep it honest, etc., etc. So your throat opens up pretty quickly. The pineal gland will open up pretty quickly. And once all that's open, then the crown opens, and that's how you communicate with God. It takes tremendous discipline and effort, and it's like, I feel like it's something that people can go through lifetimes and still not have. I don't think that everybody gets to have that every lifetime. I feel like it's very rare. That this is my belief on how it works. I'm sure somebody else somewhere will have another opinion. However, the whole path is, once you've experienced true love and you know what it feels like, when you communicate with God, that communication is not like communication with people. You don't need words. It's all in feeling. And what it feels like is overwhelming love. It feels overwhelming. It feels like love you don't deserve. It feels like you're not worthy. It feels like, honestly, it feels like too much. Like I can't even explain it. It's insane. It's insane. When you have that kind of a relationship and you're having this relationship with a spirit, it's like being in love with another human being. You're not really concerned about asking for anything. If you're truly in love with another human being, you are really not concerned about asking for clothes, shoes, whatever it is people ask each other for, or whatever like material expectations that people have of each other. When you truly have a relationship with God, you have no need to ask for anything. Your wish, it's like, okay, you're in love with a man, he's in love with you, like real love. You are less likely to ask him for anything because you already know if you ask for it, it's yours. Like whatever you ask for, you're going to get, as long as it's within, even if it's not within his ability to get, he'll get up and find a way to get it. You're less likely to ask for anything. It's like kids that grow up in houses where they have everything they need. They're so well adjusted that they probably don't want for much. Kids that grow up in, let's say, a home with the difference between a child who grows up in a home with a pantry full of food versus a child who grows up in a home where there's a scarcity of food. The one who grows up in the home where there's not a lot of food is going to be more likely to want to hoard food versus somebody who grows up in a home, let's say, with a whole ton of stuff. Things are going to go and get expired. Things are not going to be consumed because they just know they have access. It's the same thing. So if you wouldn't ask, a partner that you're with for much because you know that if you wanted it, you can have it, you are more than likely not going to, if you have that same relationship with God, you're more than likely not going to ask for very much because you have the love. And that is like, that means way more. So, I've encountered people, I want to say in the last year, that have looked at me as stupid because it's like, well, if I were you, I'd be a billionaire, I'd do this, I'd do that, I'd blah, blah, blah. But you're not me, and you grew up in scarcity, so you don't know what it feels like to always have that. So it's like, you really ask for things that feed your heart. You ask for things that are going to make you feel full. And so for me, what makes me feel full is having God's love. And what would make me panic is not being in favor with God, not having approval, not having God's love. Not because it would make me less powerful, but because the love is so comforting. It feels so good all day long. And this is where that whole saying comes from, of peace that surpasses understanding, because it's like people won't understand why you're so calm in chaotic situations. People won't understand why you're not affected by a lot of things, or why you don't feel the need to fit in, or why you don't have to look a certain way, or why you're so loving with other people, why you're so kind, why you're so patient, why you're so, being loved makes you that way. And so I can say for myself, regardless of so many things that I constantly go through, that I know how extremely lucky I am, or at least I know now, because, it kind of dawned on me, but just always feeling loved and having like a lot of love in my life, whether that's coming from, even if somebody who loves me is not even in my life, I still feel loved. I know I'm loved because I know love is permanent. And I know, and I have the confidence that if it doesn't happen this lifetime, it's going to happen the next lifetime or the lifetime after that. I just feel very confident in that. I feel confident in, and that's probably why when people think I cut people off so quickly or I'm so cold, it's not even that. I know, if you know very well what love is, then you know what love is not. So you are cool with people and you understand them as best as you can, because I can't always understand people, but you understand them as best as you can, and you understand what they're, a lot of times, what deficiencies that they do have. But it's like, if something were to happen, or they were to betray you or prove themselves to be like unsafe to be around, it's not difficult to let that go. There's a confidence there. And even the people that you do love, it's like it might break your heart to be away from them, but it's like you're confident that even in their absence, that you know that you're loved, and that this person, no matter whatever the circumstances are, they would be there if they could, type of thing. So that's really one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I really hope, I'm gonna run off now because there's something I want to do, but I really hope that whoever listens to this, it seems like not much people are in my life tonight, but whoever listens to this, wherever, whenever, at whatever point, whether it's here or YouTube, and is going through a tough situation or a tough time, and has the feeling in their heart that it might be time to seek a relationship outside of themselves, whether, a spiritual relationship, or get close to God, or it's time to make things right, with God, or whatever the case is, would really consider the relationship part over the asking part. If you have a very solid relationship with God, you actually don't need to ask. Things will be resolved automatically. And I do mean all the time. Now, let me say that with a grain of salt. You technically do have to ask for things. You do have to ask. But even when I forget to ask, even when I forget that I actually have to say, oh, wait, can I have help with this? Even when I forget that, I'm prompted to. I'm either prompted to ask, or honestly, half the time things happen. I'm not even gonna lie. I know I'm supposed to ask. Half the time things just happen. It's like, oh shoot, thank you. Like, it's just such a beautiful relationship. And it results in such a beautiful life. I don't know why more people do not live this way. I don't understand the way other people live. And then I think that kind of leads to why maybe people don't understand why I spend so much time to myself, and why that's so comfortable for me. I just see people as very like blindfolded, walking around, bumping into each other, and just searching for things that they don't even know. Like, they don't even know what it is they need. And I'm not saying I'm the most enlightened person, I know everything in the world, but I'm just saying, I just don't understand what is the point of being here and not believing in magic. That's crazy. I feel like Earth is the only place people do that shit. Like it's there was an anime about that actually, and I think I probably saved the clip. I think it was on Netflix, where it was actually these two demons that came to Earth and they were forced to be human, and they had to go somewhere and pay for something or do something, and they try to do magic, and they were like, oh, humans don't believe in that. And they're like, they were freaking out. Like, that scene was like, they're like, what, you don't believe in magic? How the hell do you get anything done over here? Like, work? What do you mean go work? It's not to say that people, you're supposed to work. Like, I don't think you're supposed to wave a magic wand to get anything, because I think if you do that, then someone can wave a magic wand and tear things down from you. What's made it very difficult for people to pull what I have down is because I actually worked hard for it. Everything I have, I've worked hard for. If I had just manifested in the way that people assume that I did, then it would be easily taken away. Easily taken away. If I had gone about it in the way that people trying to steal from me would have gone about it, would have abused spirituality to get things, if I had gone about it that way, it would be easily teared down. And it is in a parent's best interest to guide their children in a way that makes sense. And so Mother has always guided me to work very hard for everything that I have, and to put a lot of effort. And I mean, it's like, even with building my YouTube right now, and there's a lot of opposition against me, and there's a lot of forces fighting back, but like, it's like I have to remind myself, just because I've come so far with my business and starting something new again, it's like, oh my God, this is what it feels like. I remember. And it's like, oh, it's not the greatest starting again, but I remember. So it's like, I just think about it and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to remember when I was making this many videos a day and only getting 3 views or 5 views or whatever. I'm going to remember that the day that it blows up. And I don't think it's going to blow up in one day, but the time when it starts picking up, I'm going to remember that. I look at other people's channels on YouTube and I'm like, wait, there's like 2,000 people in their live right now, or just their premiere, not even a live, their premiere. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's amazing. Like, I can't even imagine how long that took. And then I look at their channel, it's like, wait, they've had this channel for 5 years. So it's like, I even feel lucky to get 3 views or 10 views or 20 views or whatever the case is on my video, because I'm like, wait, like, I'm not known on YouTube at all. Like, I'm not, like, I don't have that following. I don't, whatever the case is, it's very new channel. But yeah, so, this is my message, for tonight. So I'm going to try to remember what I said, because I kind of went off on a tangent. I'm going to try to remember what I said, put it in the caption of my video. And of course, I'm going to continue to put snippets of my videos in my stories with a link to my YouTube. So if anybody does care about what I'm talking about or has any interest, please do check out my YouTube page. And please like or subscribe. I do appreciate it. And it makes a huge difference for people starting out with their channels. Actually, people with very established pages are still asking for the same thing. They're still asking for a like and a subscribe and a follow, etc. So yeah, that is all I have to say for tonight. And I think I came on earlier today. I can't even remember. But anyways, I'm going to try my best to be more active with my lives. Thank you and have a good night.